Did you know that Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter came out 10 years ago in 2015? I was genuinely shocked when I looked at the publication date because the way that people hype up and discuss this book today, I thought this was a new release. So I wanted to talk about some of my favorite books that also came out around the same time, if not older, that I think deserve more hype and should be discussed so much today that people assume the same thing about them recently coming out. These are books that I will carry with me and think about for the rest of my life. I loved them so much, and even though they might be a little bit dated, they deserve just as much hype as Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter is still getting today. Number one on this list is The Glass Castle. I loved this book so much. Jeanette Walls is such an amazing storyteller, specifically with memoirs and nonfiction. I've read all of her books besides Hang the Moon, and they're all fantastic, but this is a take on her childhood, upbringing, adolescence, and it was a very non-traditional and hard childhood. This was published in 2005. I read it in 2014. I think it is a timeless memoir that everybody needs to read as an adult. Basically required reading because it was so good and something that I will never forget. An Invisible Thread. This is a true story about a woman in New York that sees a young boy begging in the streets, and instead of giving him money, she says, I'm not going to give you money, but I will take you out to eat. And they go to McDonald's and she learns about his story, and they create such an inseparable bond for the rest of their lives. And you can really see how one tiny ripple effect decision changes not only his life, but his future generations' lives as well. This book will make you want to be a better person. So good. Make sure you get the physical copy too, because photos in here of their lives together. I did such a deep dive on their story after finishing this book. I watched all of the interviews. True stories like this just really hit me. Gillian Flynn, Dark Places. Now, before I read Pretty Girls, this was what I thought was the darkest book, darkest thriller that I have read. It is very dark, so if you like dark thrillers, I think you would love this book. I have two examples, but I could give you 20, and that is every single book that Jodi Picoult has ever written. I have read every single one of her back burners. The 10th Circle is one that really stuck with me that I think you would really enjoy. Obviously, besides My Sister's Keeper and 19 Minutes, The 10th Circle. And then Second Glance, if you like that darker ghost paranoia theme and subject, this one deals with that on ancient burial grounds. All of her books though, cannot go wrong. And Orphan number 8, I am so shocked that nobody discusses this book because this is one of my favorite all-time books, and it was published the exact same year that Pretty Girls was, except this is a historical fiction book on orphans that are experimented on. It is so sad, dual timelines. You get her upbringing in the orphanage and her adult life and what happens, and they interconnect by the end. It is the only book that I have pulled an all-nighter and finished by 6 in the morning without even realizing that it was 6 in the morning. A true part in the back that shows real images of children actually experimented on, because even though the story is fiction, it's based on, unfortunately, true tales. But if you like historical fiction books, I think you would eat this up. It is so good and not talked about nearly enough.